So I think there's been a big reveal when it comes to Caffeine AI, which is one of the flagship products of Dfinity. They recently released what type of apps are people publishing on the app market, and it showcases several categories, which I think are for key markets, and I think this could potentially affect the trajectory of Caffeine AI moving forward, even though nothing I say is financial advice and I'm not telling anyone to do anything. But if we take a look at it, this goes far beyond the price charts in my opinion, because if we take a look at, for instance, what type of apps again are people publishing on the app market? At 36%, it's productivity. Why could this be a big deal? Well, it's because if we take a look at it, for instance, according to the business research company and Mordor Intelligence, the broader productivity software market is valued at around 75 up to around $110 billion in 2025 to 2026. So this is pretty impressive. Now, if we take a look at what is the second biggest category when it comes to this chart, we take a look at education, which makes up 25% of the type of apps that are being published on the app market when it comes to Caffeine AI. Now, when it comes to this, we'll see that, for instance, according to Grandview Research, the broader education technology market was valued at around 187 up to $213 billion in 2025 to 2026. So that's really massive. So if we take a look at that right there, again, the education market, we take a look at the productivity market, makes up a pretty big percentage of the apps that are being published on Caffeine. So we gotta just let that sink in. That's pretty massive right there. Now, if we take a look at the third biggest category, when it comes to that chart, it's games, which is at 13%. Now, the mobile gaming market, according to Statista Market Forecast, it was valued at around 134 to $196 billion in 2025 to 2026. So that's pretty massive. Now, if we take a look at social, which is 10% of the type of apps that are being published on the app market in regard to Caffeine AI, we'll see that the social networking, or should I say social media market, was valued at around 117 to $234 billion in 2025 to 2026, according to, for instance, something in the case of Market Research Future. So again, that's pretty impressive as well. Now, if we take a look at it, the travel, sector, right? Now, travel makes up 4% of the apps that are being published on the market, or the app market, I should say, when it comes to Caffeine AI. Now, when it comes to that, we'll see that according to Statista and Grandview Research, it does say that the online travel market was valued at around $600 to $720 billion, again, from 2025 to 2026. Now, we'll see when it comes to the shopping market, the global e-commerce market was valued at around $6 to $8 trillion, according to eMarketer for the year 2025 to 2026. So again, if we take a look at this right here, these are some pretty real deal markets, and we're seeing apps focus on those markets that are being published on Caffeine. So when people like to say, oh, this is really bad and all this, well, really? I mean, I get it. The internet computer, it's at around $2. But at the same time, one of Dfinity's flagship products is actually doing pretty okay, in my opinion, as evidently seen with the type of apps that are being published on there. Now, are people going to say that this is the best of all time? No, I don't think so, not necessarily. But at the same time, we have to consider the effort and the progress that's being made so far. Caffeine AI launched quite recently, and we saw version 3 this year. The thing is this, it's not like Caffeine AI has been around for a dozen years or something like that. It hasn't been the case. So if we see something like this and seeing the progress that's being made, especially at a time when the market isn't doing the best, that's quite impressive given the current conditions. So yes, it's easy for me to obsess over, the internet computer is at around $2. I mean, it's easy for me to do that, but oftentimes I want to take a look at it a little bit deeper and see that, what? When it comes to Dfinity, one of their flagship products isn't doing so bad. But one thing I do know for sure, though, is that we're over 4 times lower than November of last year. I'm not joking. We take a look at it, in November of last year, the internet computer was at around $9. $9 isn't even considered to be that good anyways when it comes to the internet computer. It was considered quite bad considering how in 2024 the internet computer was almost at $19. So actually around $9 wasn't even considered that good. It wasn't even such a high baseline for the internet computer anyways, and yet we're over 4 times lower than that, which I think showcases just how much the internet computer has gone down, which at first glance may seem like a bad thing, but it really depends on the frame of mind. Some people don't like the dip, some people do like it. It really depends. I can't speak on anyone's behalf, but if the internet computer could just go back to around $9, I'm already going to Sizzler, the restaurant. Because one thing I do know for sure, though, is that if Bitcoin were to go back to its all-time high, it's not 4 times lower than that. And $9 isn't even the all-time high when it comes to the internet computer. Again, even back in 2024, the internet computer reached almost $19. Like $9 isn't even that good anyways, but we're over 4 times lower than that. But yeah, besides that point, I'm not telling anyone to do anything. Long story short, when I see good statistics in regard to Caffeine AI, why would I complain? It's one of the flagship products when it comes to Dfinity. People like to say, oh, Dfinity wasted a lot on research and development, which at first glance, I can get why people seem to think that way. Dfinity, not too long ago, announced that they spent approximately $500 million so far on research and development, which a lot of people thought was kind of just wasted. But if we take a look at something like Caffeine AI, Cloud Engines, we take a look at them trying to launch a DEX called Multidex, and then we take a look at OEC version 2. If I take a look at all that, it starts to seem a little bit more logical to me as to why they spent that much on research and development, and it no longer seems like such a big waste, at least personally for me, at least from what I can see. And if we think about it, if we're seeing these type of statistics as of right now when it comes to Caffeine AI, imagine a year from now, 2 years from now, or even 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. It could look so different. So the fact that we're seeing these type of statistics this early on when it comes to Caffeine AI, I have nothing to really complain about. I find it quite impressive actually. Now people like to say, but no one's really going to use Caffeine AI. But again, traditionally, if let's say I want to build on the internet computer, sure, I could use Motoko, which is a programming language that was basically created by Dfinity, or let's say I could use Python, C++, TypeScript through canister development kits when it comes to the internet computer. I can try to do that. I can try to learn, those programming languages to try to build on the internet computer, or I can learn Motoko. But then at the same time, though, Caffeine AI just kind of simplifies the whole process and makes it so that I don't have to learn all of that, right? I can just go on Caffeine AI and just type up whatever I want. Let's say, oh, make me a productivity app that does this or does that. It could try to do that for me. I don't have to learn all of these programming languages. So it just kind of simplifies things to a whole different level. And the fact that they recently even updated their pricing model, which I made a video on, like in terms of the tiers, that was pretty impressive as well. It just made things a lot more economically friendly, which I think opens the doors for more people to actually use something like Caffeine AI. So what Dfinity is doing is that they're graduating beyond creating short-term or medium-term hype. They're graduating beyond just being entirely dependent on this space. By creating something like Caffeine AI, it's attracting users and developers from even outside of this space in some cases. So it's pretty amazing where usually some of these projects, they only make products that are so tied to this space to the point that if the market isn't doing the best, then whatever they launch, it's affected in a very negative way. But when it comes to Caffeine AI, it's more universal a little bit, right? Where sure, it's still affected by this space overall because, again, Dfinity is so focused when it comes to this space, but they're making a product that not only is focused on this space, but also has a broader appeal. As evidently seen, Caffeine AI is now available on Claude. And not to mention, it was also recently listed on the Amazon Web Services Marketplace. So we gotta let that sink in. They're trying to be a bit more global. They're trying to be more present when it comes to just the market beyond this space. So I do like seeing that. So when I take a look at all of this right here, I think it goes far beyond the internet computer being at around $2. Because to me, this is all stuff that's being done for the long term. They're thinking about many years to come here. They're not thinking about, oh, short-term hype. That's not the case. Yes, I get it. It's at around $2 still when it comes to their computer, but I don't really mind though because I don't mind the dip. That's the thing. But I'm not telling anyone to do anything. So again, I'm still here waiting. But I just thought, seeing those statistics, wow, I was pretty surprised, so I felt like making a video on it. However, I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward when it comes to their computer. I just want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a very amazing and wonderful day. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.